Hello, and welcome to the Wheel of Crime podcast. This podcast is ran by two ladies who play games, mumble profanities, and laugh way too often. Also, this podcast does cover topics of sensitive nature, and as such, listener discretion is advised.
Hello and welcome back to another episode of the Wheel of Crime podcast. My name is Jenn.
And my name is Emily. Yes,
We've been having a weird couple of weeks. So anyone who listens to the podcast, I apologize because the episode that went up last week was supposed to go up the week before, but I just forgot. And then me and Emily couldn't record last week, so I was like, well, here we go. This one has its moment to shine.
I love how this is how I'm finding out, because I had no idea that happened. I've just been living my life. Well, kind of.
Yeah, last week was supposed to be our Father's Day episode, but we did not record that because Emily was very ill.
Yeah, I was so sick, and then just so our listeners are aware, I'm sick a lot. So this isn't like abnormal.
It's true. I can vouch for that.
Pretty much all the time, actually. But I threw out my back when I was sick this time because I coughed, sneezed, and burped all at the same time, which apparently puts a lot of stress on your back. And I had to go to my chiropractor, but this isn't the first time I've done this while sick. So I went into my chiropractor, and he was like, "Oh, how are you doing? Did you cough, sneeze, and burp all at the same time and and throw your back out again?" Like, as a joke, thinking that I wouldn't have done it twice. And I was like, that's so funny you knew that, actually. That is why I'm here today.
And he's like, oh god, this lady needs help.
Yeah, no, he's probably sick of me. Or I was like describing to my parents, because my parents are convinced that that's like that shouldn't happen, and the fact it's happened to me twice says something about me. So I was like,
as a child, you threw out your back picking up a jug of milk.
That's what I'm saying, though. We should know this about me by now. But I was explaining myself because I was like, well, you see, I was sick, so I was already coughing and sneezing all the time. But first, I felt a burp coming, so I was like, okay, let's take care of this burp, get it out of the way, right? I'm home alone. I can do whatever I want.
Let's take care of this burp. Said no one ever.
Right? So I'm like, okay, let's just let her fly. But literally at the same time, I felt a sneeze coming in. But usually for me, a sneeze, it works itself in. I'm not somebody who sneezes immediately when I feel the need to sneeze. So I'm like, okay, I better burp right away so that I don't end up sneezing and burping at the same time and throwing my back out again. So then I coughed instead. So I'm thinking about sneezing and burping and not thinking about coughing. And then all of a sudden my body coughs, and literally, burp flew out and I sneezed and I about hit my forehead into my kneecaps and my back. It was my lower back. So painful. And I was like, I can't believe I did that again. I'm so stupid.
I can't believe you did that again.
And it still hurts. It's been I guess I just went to the chiropractor yesterday. But when I performed this feat of nature, that was a week ago. So that shows how long my back's been hurting.
Jeez, I don't even understand how you manage that, but it's kind of impressive.
It's something. It certainly is something. But I would love to hear your questions for a Wheel of Crime.
Okay, well, spin the wheel of questions then.
Okay. That was weak. That was also weak. We got 2.
Have you ever considered joining the police force or ambulance or being a firefighter? Have you ever considered being a first responder?
Yeah, actually. When I was in school, I was thinking about becoming a ambulance type person or a firefighter, because I was already kind of dealing with tons of first aid stuff and whatnot when I was in high school, just because of the military program and stuff. So I was like, yeah, I know so many things about this already.
That's fair. I could have, you know what, honestly, I feel like I could have seen that for you in an alternate universe. Me, myself, I had like a brief moment in high school where I was like, I could be a police officer. And then I looked into it for like 1 second. And I was like, actually, that's definitely not for me.
That's really funny. The only thing I know about myself in police work is that I get comments that say I walk like a police officer. So I don't know what that means. But apparently,
It's your stride.
in an alternate universe, yeah, I'm like, do I have a heavy walk? What does that mean? Nobody will tell me. That's probably what it is.
It's you walk like you're wearing the vest. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, like the vest and like giant heavy boots. Like that's the only thing I can picture in my head.
Nice.
Right? But I love that you like looked up police work and like a minute and you're like, not for me. What was it? Was the tasing? Was it the fact that like you go through school and then you have to taser yourself at the end to see like how long you can withstand it or something?
No, I think it was like more the fact that I was like, I don't know if I want to get people into trouble. What if I just like let them get away with things? And I'm like, oh yeah, that's like a corrupt person. It's probably not for me.
You're like, that's okay, I'll just be a corrupt police officer. That's totally fine.
And also, I really I don't like having a boss. And I don't take direction that well from bosses. Like, I don't like being told what to do. So I just feel like military, police, like that type of work, not for me. Because I feel like you have to kind of accept being told what to do. And I'm just that's not my vibe.
That's true, actually. I never really thought about that, but that's a very good point.
I feel like you tell me what to do, and I'm like, well, now because you've told me what to do, I'm doing the exact opposite thing.
Right. I also have problems with being told what to do, but I feel like between the two of us, like, you're definitely more of the person who would be like, nah, fuck this, I'm being my own boss.
Pretty much. Which would make me a terrible military person or police officer. So, you're welcome, society. Person. I saved you from that one.
See, there we go. All right, let's spin for our next question. Well, that was better. Number 4.
How do you feel about loaning family or friends money? Like, I know a lot of people have, like, a policy where they're like, oh, I don't like to loan money to, like, family or friends because they think it ends badly. Do you have, like, a hard and fast rule like that? Or is it kind of, like, situational for you? Or have you even been in that situation?
So, I have had family ask me for money in the past. However, this is my rule when it comes to this kind of stuff. So, like, as far as friends go, they need to be somebody I've known for a long time, and I know that they have stable income and are responsible people, because they would be the kind of people that I trust with that kind of stuff, but it would also depend on the amount. So, friends are kind of like, basically, it's just you. Who's on my, like, approved list right now, but, like, so that's, like, up for, like, debate, I guess. But as far as family members go, or I guess anybody else...
Wait, what's my credit limit? I need to know how much I can ask for.
Literally, if it was like, oh, Emily, like, I need this amount or whatever, and I'll pay you back. Like, if I have it, I'm like, okay, yes, let's do it. But
Emily, I need a small loan of $1 million. Can you just send
I don't have that in the first place, so that's your first mistake.
Dang it.
Dang. Right? But, so I don't know. So that would be my thing. But then as far as like family members asking me for money, my thing in general is like, I would never give somebody money unless I'm fully expecting to not make it back. I don't let people borrow things if I don't have it already in my like gift category in my brain. Because then if I don't get it back, it's not like a loss because I've already accepted that it's gone. But like, as far as like family members and stuff, I don't loan money for frivolous things, and I also don't loan money if it's not something that I think you should be responsible for. So those are like my rules. So it's like, hey, Emily, can I have $20 to go to the movies? No, make your own $20 if you want to do something fun, or you know, like stuff like that. But like I said, it's not like I'm not generous because I do give money for things. It's just very situational, I think.
That's fair. I feel like I'm kind of the same. I feel like it's very situational and it depends who you are. So, like, Yeah, like I feel like I'm in a similar spot with friends where there's a very short list of people who I'd be willing to give money to because I agree with you in the fact that I'm like, if I'm loaning it, I'm fully expecting to never see it again.
Yeah. And that's like with anything, like stuff even. If somebody asks me to borrow a shirt, I have to already accept that I might not be getting that back.
Exactly. So I feel like there's a small list of people who I'm willing to do that for. And it would also really depend on the situation where, like, you know, I don't know. I feel like it really does depend on the situation and how I'm feeling about things. And where I'm at financially, too, I guess, would play a big part. Like, I feel like when I was in university and I had, like, $3 to my name and a pack of ramen, I would have been like, sorry, I really need that.
Yeah, right? And that's what I mean, too, like, by that it's situational. It's because it's hard to fully understand if you would give money to somebody in a situation unless you've already experienced it and gone through the thought process. So, like,
Yeah.
Like, for example, for most of my younger siblings, I don't have their, like, e-transfer even saved in my phone because, like, that's never been a thing that we figured out between us.
Right.
But, like, for, like, my older sister, or not older, I am the oldest sister, but, like, for, like, my sister that is older, for example, like, you know, she'll ask for this because she doesn't have a credit card or, like, one, or whatever, and I'm like, yeah, sure.
Yeah, and I feel like stuff like that makes sense, you know?
Yeah, right? And that's what I mean by, like, it's like, oh, I have, but, like, this would be the situation. Or, like, if, like, my brother's going swimming and he's, like, missing a toonie for, like, a locker or something, I'm like, just have it. Here
Yeah.
you go.
But I feel like at that point, it's not lending money, it's you're giving them money.
Yeah, right? So, anywho, but that's my thought process on it.
Fair. I feel like we have a very similar point of view on that.
Yeah. All right, let's spin for our next question.
What is your favorite local delicacy? And I know that we live in a place that doesn't have that many local delicacies, so I'm going to expand that to local as in meaning Canadian delicacies.
That's fair and valid. A Canadian delicacy.
Like, I know my partner John's favorite, like, I would say his favorite, like, local delicacy would be, like, a Nanaimo bar or a poutine.
Okay, I thought poutine, but I only like the cheese curds, so that's not really fair for me to say that I like poutine.
I mean, you could say squeaky cheese.
I do like squeaky cheese. I also like maple syrup. It's not my passion, but, like, I do like it.
It's not your passion? Is that what you
Yeah, I'm not
just said?
passionate about maple syrup, but I do like it.
Well, I didn't know anyone really had a passion for maple syrup, but duly noted.
People who make maple syrup, I imagine, must have had a passion for it. I don't think anybody willingly goes around and stabs trees to milk them.
You know what? Fair.
Right? I actually really like puffed wheat squares, and I know those were actually, I mean, yes, still puffed wheat squares because I love them. But my actual thing, I'm gonna say, because I just found this out recently, is I would say my favorite Canadian delicacy is a Caesar. The first Caesar ever made was made in Calgary.
Yes, I did know that, actually. Isn't that crazy?
And I really like Caesars.
Did
so
you
I'm
know
gonna
that
say
ginger
that's
beef
my favorite.
was also invented in Calgary?
I did know that. Or not Calgary. I knew it was like a Canadian thing, but that's crazy.
It is crazy.
Or puffed wheat squares were made in our village of origin. Did you know that?
I did not know that.
Yeah, that's also a thing I found out recently, and I'm like, who keeps these secrets? Why did it matter?
Who's to say? I think I'm going with poutine for myself or puffed wheat squares because puffed wheat squares are so freaking bomb.
Literally, it's like I used to stay somewhere where, like, when you went to go get your coffee in the morning, they'd have like a pastry assortment, and there would be days where you'd show up and they would have like homemade, basically puffed wheat squares, and I was like, today's gonna be the best day ever. I just want to take a minute to thank my mom for introducing me to puffed wheat squares and the lady who made puffed wheat squares.
Now I want a puffed wheat square so bad. How the fuck
Right?
do you make them? I gotta look
They're
it up
apparently
after.
not hard to make either. they're apparently not hard to make either. You just need to have like, I think it's like 3 or 4 ingredients or something. And time.
The wheels are turning in this noggin.
Right? And then, Caesars. Caesars are really good too. Do you like Caesars?
Not a huge fan of Caesars.
I didn't think so. I was like, I know you're not like a super big Clamato juice fan. Or no, you used to drink V8s when we were in high school, but like,
No, I
don't think you were passionate about it either. What?
I've never drinking a V8.
I could have sworn you used to drink V8s.
Never.
Nope.
Not
I
once.
know what it was. No, it was that stupid energy drink that looks like a giant gas cylinder. What?
NOS.
What is it? NOS. It was NOS, not V8s. V8s was that other person. Anyway.
That other
person.
Whoever that was.
Well, it's funny because some of my memories from high school, I just remember like random bullshit. It's not ever who I'm with or what class I was in or anything. It's just like, yeah, I remember that person drank V8s. Who is that person? I don't know.
Probably Jenn.
They were there. Yeah, it must have been Jenn. Always hung out with her.
That's so funny.
Oh, gosh.
All right, let's move for our last question.
Yeah. All right, let's hear it. What do we got?
Has anyone ever told you that you sound weird over the phone?
Yes, actually. I had somebody tell me that I was too articulate, and they didn't believe I was who I said I was.
That's so funny.
I know, especially because this was like an old coworker or something, like not where I'm working now, but it would have been like one of the places I worked at before. But I just remember thinking about it being like, what do I sound like in person then, where I'm too articulate for the phone? Like,
you're just like, AI robot.
I was thinking either that or I must sound like a barbarian or something. Like, I literally show up in person, ooga booga, thinking I'm talking fine.
You're like, my name's Emily. And they're like, yeah, that literally can't be the same person.
And then they get me on the phone and they're like, wow, no, she sounds like she read a dictionary. It can't be the same person.
I don't believe it.
It's unheard of. But what about you? Has anybody ever like said that you sound different on the phone or anything?
I don't know, not really. I mean, the only thing that comes to mind, and what came to mind when I was writing this question, is something.
What's happening?
That's really embarrassing, actually. Was I remember in like, I think it was like 7th grade or something like that. I used to be a mouth breather. Okay, I've recovered. Okay. But I did used to be a mouth breather. And my cousin and I were talking on the phone. And she was like, you sound like Darth Vader. And I was so offended. And I was like, oh no. And I think that's the moment I reformed. Because I didn't want to sound like Darth Vader on the phone anymore.
First of all, I'm pretty sure I know which cousin of yours this would have been.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure I know. But second thing is, that's so fucking funny. Just even the intro, I'm a recovered mouth breather. It's like, oh, we're going for a hard start on this one.
Like, I had a traumatic childhood, I think.
You're like, I don't remember it, but the bits I do are terrifying.
Like, I was roasted on so many fronts. Just
right?
Fucking obliterated.
Well, I mean, what do you do when you're Darth Vader at 6 years old? You've already been set up as the villain.
Villain. It's true. It's true. Yeah, but that's the end of our questions for today.
All right. Sounds good. Okay, so I'm guessing that there is a murder, potentially, as there normally is. And then I'm also going to guess that this person who did the killing is a recovered mouth breather. Not breeder. That is something else.
It's true. It's me. I murdered you on this podcast. Ah!
Right? And then, yeah, that's all I got. I have no idea.
Well, there is a murder. You got that part right.
Cha-ching.
All right, but I'll just get right on into it. So today, we're going to talk about William Michael Parente, and he was born on July 20th, 1949 in Bay Ridge, New York, to Willie and Rockland Parente. His dad, Willie, was a New York State police trooper. William grew up in Bay Ridge as an only child, summering with his family in Long Beach. He graduated from Brooklyn College and Brooklyn Law School, assisted by Anthony J. Russo, an uncle who paid his tuition to both institutions. William married Betty Mazzarella in 1977 after becoming a member of the New York Bar. William joined a Wall Street law partnership, moving into private practice in 1988 after discovering his wife was pregnant with their first child. William then moved his family to Garden City, New York. However, William and his family returned frequently to their old Brooklyn neighborhood for local delicacies, staying in touch with old friends, visiting his mother, and remembering his childhood Halloweens by returning to the same neighborhood with his two daughters each year to go trick-or-treating. Late in his legal career, William got involved in making what he called bridge loans. He essentially worked as a bank, said a friend, making comparatively high-risk loans to projects pending permit approval. In order to fund those loans, he allegedly drew on assets from investments for which he had responsibility. When at least one investor called asking for money back, William could neither immediately return the funds nor successfully explain his inability to do so. So he was doing some sketchy stuff.
As they do.
It's true. On April 20th, 2009, the bodies of 4 people were found by staff in room 1029 of the Sheraton Hotel in Towson, Maryland. Police were called. The bodies were identified as those of then 59-year-old William, his wife Betty, and their daughters 19-year-old Stephanie and 11-year-old Catherine. Stephanie was a student at Loyola College. The cause of death was found to be asphyxiation, and it was later found that William had purchased a knife after killing his family. Police believe that each of the murder victims took place at a different time. Betty was believed to be the first victim, having been killed sometime during the day on April 19th. Catherine was believed to have been killed soon after, and both victims were laid on the bed in the room. Stephanie, a speech-language pathology major, was believed to have been killed later on Sunday after she left the Loyola campus for a visit from her family that had surprised her. Her roommates were also surprised because she had been studying for a chemistry exam to be taken the following day. Around midnight, after the murders of Betty and their daughters, Stephanie's roommate had called the room of the Sheraton to check in on her. William answered the phone and replied that Stephanie had been staying there. He was believed at the time by Stephanie's roommate, who was unaware that Stephanie was already dead, that the roommate reported that William sounded odd over the phone and did not sound like himself. William is believed to have killed himself sometime on Monday morning, and hotel staff noticed that the family did not check out on Monday, and there was concern from Loyola College that Stephanie did not show up that day for her exam. So the motive was believed to have been William's financial difficulties and pending investigation against him. It was learned by Baltimore County Police while they were investigating the crime that William was also being investigated by the FBI for a scheme in which investors were potentially defrauded of about $20 million.
Holy moly.
So that's a lot of bad investment in bridge loans that this man's did.
That's far too many, I think. More than what would be considered normal.
More than you would hope that he would do.
Yeah.
In particular, a complaint had been made against William for the alleged loss of $450,000 from one person.
This man is ruthless. He's just like... I can't even believe that.
I can't even imagine being out $450,000 and it's just gone.
Yeah, right? Like, that's just... I just... Like, I can't even process it in my brain because then I would have a new thing to be afraid of.
It's true. According to the information learned in the financial investigation, $245,000 in checks William had written to investors had bounced, leading to complaints to the New York's Attorney General's office. Some investigators reported following his death that they had lost millions. The FBI investigation, which is considered to be separate from that of the murders and suicide, is still ongoing. The case was one of two Familicides in Maryland in less than a week. The other one was that of Christopher Wood in Middletown, which occurred on April 16th. The two events having been in such close chronological and geographic proximity highlighted in the media the topic of familicide and suicide resulting from the economic troubles. The funeral service for William was separate from that of the remaining members of his family.
One would hope so. I don't think that, like, if you remove said people from Earth, that you should be having your funeral with them either.
Yeah, like, I feel like maybe killing your wife and children, kicks you out of the family coffin.
Yeah, I think that's like a post-mortem divorce. I'm pretty sure that's what that is.
Post-mortem divorce. You know what? Facts.
I think that's what that's called technically. I can't be certain, though.
I think we could make that a new thing if it isn't already.
Okay, I'm on board with it.
Amazing. But yeah, that's the end of my story for today. It was a real short one.
Totally fine. This, like you just said at the beginning of the episode, these last couple weeks has just been all kinds of fuckery, so so there we go.
Exactly.
Yeah, if you liked today's episode, you can always leave us a review on Apple iTunes or Apple Podcast, anything. If you're listening to us, you found us. Please leave us a review. 5 stars is greatly appreciated. And then besides that, we have our website, which is www.wheelofcrime.com. If you want to check us out on there, we have our social media, which is on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok, all at Wheel of Crime. We do still have our Google Doc up for submitting listener episodes. If you feel inspired and want to submit, feel free.
Next week is going to be our summer listener episode, and we're so freaking pumped for it.
Yes, I hope you're all ready to gather around the campfire. I'm sure you can find a YouTube video of it somewhere and listen to us as we do our little summertime spooky story episode. I'm excited. It's going to be a good one.
Can't wait. I'm looking forward to it so much.
Me too. And then we also have our Patreon if you want to donate to the show, which is at Wheel of Crime on Patreon. And lastly, what is lastly? I usually say 5 things. What have I forgotten today?
Every week.
There's always one. I said the reviews. I said the social media. I said the Patreon. I said, email. If you would like to email us, it is wheelofcrime@gmail.com.
It's so funny because I usually cut out the part of you trying to figure out what you didn't say, but I think I'll leave it in this week.
That's fine. I love how, like, mentally you just see the gears turning. You're like, oh, she's thinking about it. Which one is it, Emily? What did we forget this week?
Oh, yes. That's it. That's all. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next week with another new episode. Okay, bye.
Bye.